Hey, listener. Want to help us out? Leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or hit that like button on YouTube. Only takes a second on your end and really helps us out on ours. Otherwise, enjoy the show. You're listening to Cinematic Doctrine.
Hey, if you just press play, you're missing out on a 23-minute discussion. This discussion is on Darren Aronofsky having this AI studio that he owns. His name is all over it. It's called Primordial Soup, and the purpose of it, to invent original stories and the tools to tell them, merging bold narrative, emotional depth, and experimental workflows, all while using Runway and Sora and Midjourney. It's like, okay. So it's not art, but you're trying to say it's art. Anyway, so I introduced that to Kathryn, who was unaware of this, and this kind of made headway. We're recording on February 10th. This was making headlines because a project of his, he's not directing it. I mean, I don't know what you would call this, but his studio is creating something called quote unquote. You're just going to have to forgive me with all these phrases. On this day, 1776, which is basically a AI video series about the founding of the United States. That's less important. Most of it's not important. But what is important is the fact that a director as renowned as Darren Aronofsky has created a studio that produces AI imagery and video. Like, that's bonkers. So we spent some time talking about it, and also they're hiring, so we spent some time talking about that and what you have to do and be to become a prompter, a professional prompter. Very exciting. So again, that's exclusive to Patreon supporters. It's a 23-minute discussion only for Patreon supporters. So if you're supporting on Patreon, you've already heard that discussion, or if you just press play in your podcast app and you want to hear it, man, just go check out patreon.com/cinematic doctrine. Support for $3 a month. You get access to that and a whole bunch of other stuff. You'll hear about those also while listening to this episode. But you press play not to hear me pitch you the Patreon. You press play because you want to hear a movie discussion on the Wes Anderson movie Bottle Rocket. And I am joined by Kat for this discussion. Hey, Kat, what's up?
Glad to be back and serve as, I guess, our resident Wes Anderson person.
Yeah, every year. Sorry, my love. Every year
no,
now.
man. I don't know what I signed up for. I said, hey, that Royal Tenenbaums movie sure seems nice.
Hey, I'm glad we did at least Steve Zissou. That was incredible.
Sorry, it sounds like that might be the peak for you.
Oh man, it's so good. So this will be the third year of us talking about a Wes Anderson movie at the start of the year. This will be the third time we're doing a Wes Anderson movie on the show. We started it with Royal Tenenbaums 2 years ago. Then last year we did The Life Aquatic. And this year we decided to go back for Bottle Rocket. And who knows what we'll do next year. Bottle Rocket, though, Kathryn, you've seen this more than me. Could you at least lay the groundwork on what Bottle Rocket is? And then we'll kick it off.
Yeah, so Bottle Rocket is Wes Anderson's first film. It features both Luke and Owen Wilson, as well as the secret third Wilson brother. But Bottle Rocket at its core is a movie about Dignan, Anthony, and Bob. Dignan decides that he wants to be a professional criminal, and he invites his friends Anthony and Bob along on his journey to go into adulthood by learning how to rob houses. Yeah, just at its core, I think that's like the simplest premise for what this movie is. And surprisingly, and I'd be curious to know what you think about it, Melvin, but way less stylized than other Wes Anderson films. Just kind of feels like a regular 90s film to me, at least.
Yeah, in terms of just how it like felt to watch, yeah, this felt like a kind of normal movie, but with at least a visual profile, because it's clear from the start Anderson had an understanding of composition, visual composition and coloring, and kind of like how from these three movies, the kind of lighthearted tone that he has is also expressed in the way he showcases the material. Everyone's wearing like solid colors. There's a brightness to it. It's all like pretty inviting. It feels very like, I don't know how to call it. Like adult Disney Channel. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't help that Owen Wilson has like that spiky 90s haircut that also kind of screams Disney Channel.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie is shot in Texas too. So there's just like these very flat places in which the film can take place. But then it's got these like very, like you said, very, very bright colors, very recognizable silhouettes, even for our main characters.
Good old sunsets and sunrises. They have plenty of sun for their shooting. It looks really, really good. So you have said on the show before that this was your favorite Wes Anderson, at least at the time. Who knows if that changed? Did you want to kick us off? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, so interestingly, like I did walk away from this in my first watching, and I thought, wow, like this is super endearing. I love Dignan as a character. He's a total goofball and super sincere, like so sincere that it's painful. And yeah, when I left it, I was like, I think this might be my favorite of his. But this time around, I rewatched it for this episode. I still find it to be very endearing and lighthearted, but like walking away from it, I was thinking like, so I'll frame it this way. I had an experience last year rewatching Moonrise Kingdom, which left a very, very sour taste in my mouth around Wes Anderson. And I thought, am I sick of him? Like, is this experience with Moonrise Kingdom enough that I want to stop watching his stuff altogether? Like, I just had like a really...
So that's a pretty crazy thing to say. Do you mind kind of explaining what you mean?
So, like, I just had this visceral reaction in rewatching Moonrise Kingdom, specifically with how it portrays the minors in the film and gives like context to what it's like to go through puberty as a young boy and a young girl and experiencing like natural sexual development. But Anderson, I think, pushed the line too far in what he was willing to like have his young 11, 12-year-old actors do and say on screen.
Weird.
So like, well, there isn't anything I would say like overtly R-rated or anything that happens in that film. There was enough that left me with like this really sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
And I don't think it helps that the actors are right around my age as well. So kind of contextualizing myself even more so in their shoes.
You mean at the time, like they were born the same year?
At the time, yeah. Like we were born just a few years apart, really.
Okay.
So thinking like, okay, if I was 12 and put in the kinds of scenarios that these actors were, like, how would I feel about that as an adult, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, really, to come back to Bottle Rocket, it was kind of nice to have an okay experience where I was watching something that was really like inoffensive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But still, like in watching Bottle Rocket, I think I came to realize, I was like, no, I think Royal Tenenbaums really hits the sweet spot for me. It's really, Tenenbaums is probably my favorite Wes Anderson film because Gene Hackman's performance is stellar. And coming from a large family, I think I just resonate more with what it's like to have this big, boisterous family and the complexities that come from like the hangups that you have from how you were raised. I also think that Tenenbaums just does a better job skirting the line between like reality and cartoonishness that Wes Anderson has like wholly abandoned and is now just doing cartoonish stuff.
Yeah.
Like Asteroid City is ridiculous. And I think Bottle Rocket is charming in how like low key it is compared to all the rest of Anderson's stuff. But I like that midpoint with Tenenbaums where it leans a little bit more into the cartoonishness, which makes it nice to laugh with, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, like, I think I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. Like, I think like it has good dramedy to it where it is a drama movie, but it's got a lot of like comedy interlaced throughout it to kind of propel the story, where even the circumstances are just like really ridiculous. And I think like Wes Anderson just understands that movies can have like a little more visual fidelity and artistry than a lot of other filmmakers understand. Here, he just hasn't gone completely off that deep end into just complete and utter control of like the entire production. in my notes I wrote, this isn't Tumblr, GIF, blog, every frame a painting territory. Like we are still at a point where there's a lot of realism on screen. There's actual environments. There's like actual lighting specifically from the sun, which is very pretty. And then also like plot wise, it's just very light and it's mostly just vibes. Like it's just like simple decisions lead to simple circumstances. It's extremely easy to watch. Like I think out of the 3 that I've seen now, well, I've seen 4 because I watched Isle of Dogs, Royal Tenenbaum, Sisu, and then this. This one was probably the lightest, and they're all light and easy to engage. But this one was like the most like you could be lullabied to sleep, and that's a positive. I mean, it's very safe and comfortable. But it wasn't like, I don't know, there wasn't like anything that like stood out to me that like really was like, yeah, this is like greatness. I think it's good, but I didn't love it. I think for a first film that there's just a lot of promise that comes with Bottle Rocket. There's a lot of like these creative characters. They all feel really distinct, or there's like a willingness to just include like weird things that take place, but then they're played with like full and complete acceptance. It's played straight is what I mean to say.
Oh, yeah.
I also think like his just general passive kindness and lightheartedness, despite what events might happen where there's gunshots or crime or things, all of it still feels like good. Like the cartoonishness that he plays with in live action is the same as like how a character in Smiling Friends will die in season 1 and then season 2 they're back and they just have like a limp or something, and like because cartoons can do that. You can have a character explode and then they come back and they're just totally normal.
I think like on that point, one of the things I enjoy about the opening is Dignan, quote unquote, breaks Anthony out of the mental hospital that he's in. Really, Anthony is just, it's the end of his stay. He's like, bye, doc, I'll see you later. And climbs out the window to make Dignan think that he's escaping. Right.
Because he just cares about his friend. But it's silly, right?
Yeah. He's like, look at him. He's so excited. I can't let him down. And so he does it. But like the whole opening sequence has moments like that where like they're going to rob a house immediately after leaving the mental hospital. And Anthony pauses for a second because he sees toy soldiers lined up. And he turns the one soldier that's slightly out of line so it's perfectly in line. There are all these like really tiny moments of humor or attention to detail. Like it just feels refreshing. I mean, like that's that's my take.
You can't call it not serious, but none of it's taken seriously, if that makes sense. Like it's all serious in that what really matters are characters and the character relationships. But what then takes place kind of around that is all very light and enjoyable. And then, I mean, you can see that Anderson has really good humor. It's super layered, deadpan. There's a lot of wordplay, silly hijinks, absurdism. There's like a line that really was so funny. I texted it to Kathryn. I can't repeat it here. So if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. It's at a dinner table. That's kind of what I stepped away with, was just like, okay, like that was a good one. I can see what's going to come from this director in his later projects.
Hey, don't forget, there's a lot of fun content missing from this episode because you're not listening on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine and support for $3 a month to gain access to uncut episodes with upwards of 40 minutes of bonus content each. You'll thank me later.
What did it evoke in you?
So really, I think like kind of going back to like my first watch versus this watch, originally my thoughts were really focused on a sense of class consciousness. Specifically, the movie over and over and over again kind of contrasts Dignan, who is this energetic, creative lawn technician who's very working class, lives with his mom and his stepdad, against Anthony, who's kind of more upper crust. He's willingly able to go to the mental hospital, get the care that he needs, and like has a supportive, loving family that he then kind of feels like he can't return to. So he lives with his friend Bob, who is super upper class and has like a grand piano. Like that's how well-to-do Bob is. So the movie really does play around with a lot of that. Originally in watching this, the groundedness of the characters felt really refreshing compared to the later Wes Anderson films, because again, my opinion is it really turns into a situation where Wes Anderson no longer has characters. He has caricatures in the later films.
Yes.
And also, like, in watching this, I was thinking about our recent watch of Brick and thinking of how even when watching Brick together, we could look at it, I could look at it and say, wow, Ryan Johnson's like directorial style is already there. Like it's
Yes.
subtle, but it's already there. And the things that he's come to do in the future are, I think, like indicative of the little like specks of greatness in Brick. And I think Bottle Rocket is kind of the same situation where I'm seeing things here that I'm like, oh, the bones of this story feel very similar to something like Grand Budapest Hotel. Really, I think that this movie, if I just had to like TLDR it, too long didn't read, too long didn't listen. I think this movie invokes a lot of empathy for me. There are these absurd lives of these 20-somethings. And to me, it reminds me of what it's like to be at that point in your life, where you're still kind of figuring things out. Similar to Frances Ha, I feel like Bottle Rocket is a movie about people who like don't have it together. You're just invited to spend a couple of days with them while they're figuring out like if they're ever going to get it, quote unquote, like figured out. I have some more thoughts like specific to Dignan as a character. But I am curious, like what did this evoke in you? Like, did you have anything that kind of was similar?
I mean, mine were, I think, a bit more like outside of the movie. First off, I just think like I don't love Wes Anderson's movies. I think Wes Anderson makes good movies. I just don't think I've fallen in love with any of them except for Life Aquatic, and that's out of 4 movies that I've seen of his so far. Mm-hmm. Which, granted, there's like, I mean, actually, there's a lot of directors whose movies I just love. Like, I love several of Sam Raimi's movies. Mm-hmm. But like Wes Anderson, I think I feel the need to say that just because I know Wes Anderson is a hugely, hugely, hugely popular guy. And I'll talk more about that in a sec. But for me, like, I really did love Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I think it's just like an actual, just like bona fide favorite for me. I think that movie's really meaningful, and it's meaningful to me. Like, I really connected with a lot of it. You can listen to our episode from last year to hear about that. But in short, a lot of the things that I think that connected with me were things like not setting our desires on earthly things, the importance of enduring relationships, and I know I'm quoting It's a Wonderful Life here, but I feel like Life Aquatic was no man is a failure who has friends. That's what I really kind of felt like that movie did a lot. And I just really love that idea. That said, I wasn't totally in love with Royal Tenenbaums, and I wasn't head over heels with Bottle Rocket. And then I liked Isle of Dogs, but I didn't love that one. So I guess I'm just wondering if like his shtick isn't really like totally for me. Like, it's not that I don't like these movies. I don't know. They're not at the level of greatness that for a lot of people, he has this like run of just movies that people pretty much say are like consistently top tier. Now, I have not watched his highest praised one, Grand Budapest Hotel. That's the one that everyone says is like, no, that's peak. That's him at his best, where he balances realism with his creativity and everything's working to the nines, that kind of thing. But yeah, do you find like you like his stuff a lot, or do you find that it's similar to me where it's like he's just a director that makes stuff and I've got one favorite that I love of his, but so on and so on?
I mean, I think for me with Anderson, I have to be in a very particular mood if I want to watch one of his films. I know if I'm looking for something with dry humor, if I'm looking for something that's just kind of eye candy, if I'm looking for something that specifically is starring Jason Schwartzman or any of the Wilson brothers or Bill Murray.
Then you can lock that in, yeah.
Very, very specifically, yeah. But overall, I think I've had more favorable experiences with Wes Anderson's films, but also it's not consistent. I mean, Isle of Dogs to me is mostly forgettable. Grand Budapest Hotel, I know a lot of people really love it. For me, it didn't connect as well, I think, as like Tenenbaums did. Life Aquatic, I thought was good, but I don't think it hit me the same way that it hit you.
Yeah, that killed me.
And then Moonrise Kingdom, the first time I watched it, I was like, wow, this is great. The second time I watched it, I was like, this kind of left me feeling sick.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm still, I think, on the fence with Anderson, where I'm asking myself that question. Like, am I kind of sick of the shtick? Especially after watching like Asteroid City. If that's the tone of his films going forward, then I don't know if I'm up for it.
The next thing it evoked in me that I kind of thought about was just like, why is Wes Anderson so popular? And I had a few ideas on this.
Mm.
His name and the way he looks is quintessential cookie cutter mid-2000s art student hipster core coded. That's sort of one of my summations of it. To me, I feel like he is the embodiment of those things. And it's one of those cases where his name has like those things stuffed into it. Kind of like how Netflix, when you say that, there is so much with it. When you say McDonald's, there's so much with it. It's in the name, right? Just this easy to remember director with an easy to recognize style, making easy to watch movies basically all the time. Not to mention he casts all his friends who are all hugely popular actors, Bill Murray being like the most commonly known by the Western everyman. So like, in my opinion, Wes Anderson exists in this sort of like normie space of quote unquote art house director to people who otherwise don't know anything about movies apart from Marvel or Jerry Bruckheimer flicks, so like Con Air, Pirates of the Caribbean, Top Gun, or whatever else Mark Wahlberg or Gerard Butler are up to. I feel like Wes Anderson is also still kind of known. That name is known because Bill Murray, everyone watches stuff that Bill Murray's in, and then they know like, oh, he's in normal stuff, and then Wes Anderson and Sofia Coppola stuff. So like, I feel like that is one of the reasons he's popular is the name is just so huge. And then I also think people who want to get more into movies start with Wes Anderson, and that will kind of turn Wes Anderson's films, I think, into their like first love kind of, where like Anderson isn't just putting pictures on the screen and like just telling you stuff. Like I know he's done partnerships with Netflix for some specials, but I don't ever see Wes Anderson making a film in the way that people talk about Netflix now, where it's like, oh, it's a second screen movie where you have to describe the plot 6 times because we know that the person's distracted. Wes Anderson, from the 4 films I've seen, and you can speak more to it with a couple others under your belt, but like he respects the craft to know how to use it. And I feel like he does it in ways that are not necessarily in your face, but just easy to observe if you are not this isn't the Seventh Seal. You're not watching something kind of abstract or challenging. To me, I think Anderson, by doing just that little bit more, I think it just really helps. And I mean, they're all engaging. So like, that's cool and all. Plus his themes and stuff he talks about are like families, dads and sons in particular. So like that's perfect for any dad. That means your art student can show it to your dad and he'll at least connect with the fact that the dad has shame and wants to be a better dad or something. So
the classic, oh, okay, you make a film about a rock, that's just a film about a rock. But if you give that rock 2 other rocks as its family and you take those 2 other rocks away, baby, that's Con Air.
That's Con Air. And yeah, that's the Jerry Bruckheimer of Wes Anderson, is that he puts dads as a main plot point. I think this has really made him into just this insanely huge name, apart from the fact that people also like his movies. Like, I'm not talking in criticism of people who like his stuff. I'm just trying to observe, like, why is he so uniquely big? But I think for me as an outsider who isn't totally into his stuff, this is just kind of what I think is going on. Of course, this is all totally unstudied, non-research, purely speculative theory on Anderson's insane popularity. As someone who kind of just knows he exists, has watched a couple of movies and think those are fine. Yeah, I love Steve Zissou, but like it doesn't even sound like that's the most Wes Anderson movie. So I can't even really speak more to that. Yeah, any thoughts on this? Because yeah, I had known his name way before I got into movies. So like, I don't know. That's anecdotal, but go ahead.
I mean, I think you're right. I think there is like a Tumblrification of Wes Anderson, where since his visual style is so recognizable, it just makes it easy for people to know it when they see it. And then also, like, his name is big enough now to where if you hear there's a new Wes Anderson film in theaters, you're like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of like, I think it has this sort of air of artistic vision to it. Like, it draws a certain crowd. I think it's impressive, kind of getting to Bottle Rocket again, that he had James Caan in this movie. It was just like pure happenstance. I watched our Criterion extras for this one. And it was like, oh, somebody called in a favor, and their favor was, hey, James Caan, do you want to be in this movie? come shoot for like 2 days and then we'll give you a big paycheck.
And they use him like more than I expected he would be in the movie.
Mhm.
Like he had at least 3 sets he was at, which is like more than most movies.
A lot.
Yeah. More than most movies for something like a stunt cast like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's just like the luck of kind of having these big names and then making friends with people who have big names, or being friends with people who then turned into big names like the Wilson brothers.
Right.
Yeah, I just think there's like a level of accessibility there that is not obviously like Marvel movie tier, but it is very mainstream, popular, easy to digest. Yeah.
You may not know this, but the easiest way you can show your support for Cinematic Doctrine is to rate and review the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. So press pause and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And then press play again so you can hear the rest of the show.
I mean, I guess, I don't know, we've been talking a bit. You want to get into spoilers?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I'm realizing I never actually introduced what the movie discussion format is in this episode. Man, I'm rusty. We're going to talk about spoilers now. We haven't covered them at all yet. I'm sure you realized, but now we're going to get into spoiler-specific stuff. So if you have not seen Bottle Rocket and you care about kind of the dramedy that will take place and just sort of the developing story, you might want to pause, go check out the movie, and then come on back. Otherwise, if you stick around, we got some interesting things here. So the first prompt for our spoiler section, we have recurring motifs and prominent significant moments and or characters. What do you got?
So I think like this is probably a good opportunity to kind of jump off with my thoughts around Dignan and some of the other characters. Really, like the biggest recurring motif that I see throughout Bottle Rocket is this contrast between the ease of the rich and the hustle of the working class. And I realize saying working class is kind of maybe not the right term, because the contrast we have to all of these rich people are people who are like professional criminals.
Yes.
And then like maybe one other person who's pretty working class. The crux of the movie is Dignan and his character. Anthony's technically our main character, but he's a bit of a wimp, in my opinion. Anthony is like kind of a nobody character. Like he's the one who breaks out of the mental hospital, and he's the one that we're following through this story. But I think it's really more Dignan's story.
And I mean, Owen Wilson is the standout. Like all things considered, like he comes out really good with this movie.
There's such great opportunities in this film for him to just kind of like drop his ego at the floor in playing this like hyper excitable 20-somethings dude who really wants to become a professional criminal because he thinks that like that's going to be like his thing. Like,
yeah.
he literally, when he breaks quote unquote breaks Anthony out of the mental hospital, he pulls out a notebook and he's like, bro, it's our 5-year plan. He's like, here's where we are. In 6 months from now, we're going to be working here. And a year from there, we're going to be doing this. And then by then, Mr. Henry, who's like this big crime boss he wants to work with, that he supposedly has worked with in the past, he's like, then Mr. Henry will, and then after our 5-year plan, here's our 10-year plan. Like Dignan is just really, really excited, and
he's
like passionate
about crime.
Is it wrong that Dignan wants to become a criminal? Yes, because that's illegal. But I have a very hard time feeling like Dignan is wrong, because his underlying motive is really just to kind of rise above where he is as this like lawn technician, every boy, 20-year-old still living with his parents. And he just wants his buddies to be a part of that plan. And Anthony just kind of goes along with this thinking like, oh, Dignan will get it out of his system.
Yeah.
And I think there's something like romantic about revisiting this time in someone's life where they're that young and they're desperately trying to figure out who they are and who they want to be, and then kind of realizing like who they're actually capable of becoming.
Yeah, I mean, it's I like that, like, is it good that Dignan wants to be a criminal? No. But like when you observe sort of like the cartoonish silliness and lightheartedness of taking things seriously, but not that seriously, of the Wes Anderson style movie, like here is this character who approaches crime in the way like an excited student feels about their internship. And ultimately, like, it's because he wants to have time with his pals and enjoy and be together and be friends forever and sing Kumbaya. And there's like almost no malice to it. It's just like, oh, this might be a little quick and easier than like getting a job, like, which is maybe true, but like it is. It is then funny too that the movie makes sure to like make sure like, no, but this is also still like not the right choice.
Yeah,
but it has like fun doing it, and I think that fits really well into the kind of lightheartedness. I called it a kind of an Ed Nettie live action type feel to it, where it's these three characters that are all kind of just goofballs. They're all friends. They don't always get along, but they always stick together. It just makes it very fun.
I think like kind of the Ed and Nettie thing, like we haven't really talked much about Bob, but like the foil we get to Dignan is Anthony and Bob. And Bob is like this super wimpy, like guy that's living in his parents' mansion with a pool outside and a grand piano and his older brother that's like bullying him. But he's like, it's like, funny. Dude, you're almost 30. Come on, you can tell your brother to leave you alone.
Yes.
Like, get over it. But I think it's just interesting because it's like, what does Bob even do? And his brother whose name hilariously is Future Man. We don't ever get an idea of who this man is. But like, what do? They do nothing. Like they have this luxurious life. And even Anthony, it's like he has this level of ease and like he was able to go get mental health help when he needed it. He has a middle class family at home. He's got like a loving younger sister. And like Dignan does not have the ease of like kicking it by the pool this summer and getting a couple of part-time jobs. Dignan like has to become an adult, and he absolutely does not know how to do that. He thinks that becoming an adult is like becoming this professional criminal because he sees like no other third option, like he can't be like Anthony and Bob.
You're making me kind of think about, and I didn't write any notes on this, but just sort of how like sometimes there are like the routes in life that you can take, and then you just have like this thing imbued in you that like, you wouldn't be happy, or you wouldn't be happy with becoming that person. And Dignan gives that kind of attitude where like, just even the idea of getting older, it seems like it's super sad to him. like just the, like, I don't know, like that kind of is what the film seemed like it was kind of doing with his character. Cause in the end, he is the one for the dramedy and of it all. He is then the tragic character that the movie ends on. Literally, I think it's credits right after we see him kind of walk into the prison. So because he didn't like ever mature, right? Like he never, I think Anthony at some point argues with him and is like, well, I did what I had to do to grow up or something. Cause he chose to go to like his inpatient or the hospital or whatever. Dignan is evidence of the complicated characters that Wes Anderson can and does write, because he does write as in literally write onto the page, but also write as in correct. Like he does them very well.
Oh yeah, just totally. And I think like insofar as Anthony is like, no, like I'm choosing to grow up. Like I got the help I needed. I realized that this is just the end of the summer. I got to get on with it. And then he goes back to live with Bob and like gets part-time jobs over the summer, like real jobs.
Yeah. And he's also still very juvenile. Like he has this thing with this woman who doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
And he just expects her to learn English. So
yes.
It's like,
Yes.
Silly.
Well, and I think so in Dignan and Anthony's fight, the big like falling out, Dignan just straight up tells Anthony, he's like, oh, like I wouldn't have enjoyed going to a mental hospital where I could take a break. I could do runs at night. I would have cute girls all around me, like as if I wouldn't have enjoyed like the level of comfort you have to get better, to grow up, to explore. But like, I don't have that. And so I think Inez, who is the maid that Anthony starts a relationship with, she's also like Dignan. She's super like Dignan, but not. She's actually doing the right thing. She's super hardworking, responsible, kind. She's working to provide for herself and for her sister back in Paraguay. she is making efforts to learn to speak English, but Anthony does not do the same.
No.
And like
So
a part of the crux of like the Dignan and Anthony thing too is Anthony tells Dignan, I left the money with Inez. Like whatever money they got from robbing a bookstore, like the $500.
Yeah.
He's like, I left all of the money with Inez before we drove off. And Dignan loses it. He's like, no, that is totally inappropriate. You do not tip a maid $500. $500 in 90s money. Like, he's like, you do not do that. And it's like, Anthony just doesn't get it. He's never lived a day in his life like Inez or like Dignan. He's never spent a whole summer working on a lawn care team with Mr. Henry.
Yeah.
And doing petty crimes. And he's never had to like be the housekeeper for a motel off the highway. And like, he doesn't get it. Like Inez shows him this locket of like her sister that she carries around. And he's like, oh, that's really pretty. Can I keep it? And she's like, I guess, okay.
So funny.
Like it's so stupid. It's like Anthony, it's like in Parks and Rec when Leslie Knope dates that one dude who like only dates people to tell stories about them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the vibe I get from Anthony is like he's going to be this person to say like, oh no, I was really in love with her. But then it's like, but hear this crazy story about me at the motel with this woman. Or like, yeah, Dignan was my best friend. Now hear about how he's in prison now. Like that's the kind of vibe I get. I'm an Anthony hater, but yeah.
Enjoying this episode? Grab that share link and tell your friends. Word of mouth is the most effective way for a podcast to reach new listeners, so don't be shy. Share the episode wherever you can.
All right. So would you like to describe the ending since you were describing the start?
Ending in the movie all leads into Dignan and Anthony have this big falling out over the motel and the inappropriate $500 tip. And then there's a nice little montage where they kind of have gone their separate ways. Over the past several months, Bob and Anthony have gotten real jobs, and Dignan has started working for the infamous Mr. Henry, who is James Caan. Mr. Henry has a big job that he needs done, and Dignan invites his friends back into his life of crime with a cool yellow jumpsuit.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's like, come on, guys, come on. I could get you one of these. So one last hurrah, Bob and Anthony decide, sure, Dignan, we'll help. We'll do this last job with you. And so they join Mr. Henry's squad to rob a cold storage facility somewhere in Texas. And so they go along with the rest of Mr. Henry's squad to go and rob this place. Chaos ensues. They have with them a couple of men who are probably not too far from retiree age, or in some cases way past retiree age, because Mr. Henry is also like retiree age at this point. And anyways, these young 20-something guys are trying to like boss them around and get them to do everything, and Dignan's the ringleader, but it goes wrong. The people from the cold storage come back from their lunch early. Gunshots. Craziness, running around. Dignan is leaving with Anthony as the cops show up. And Dignan says, give me this one. Waves Anthony along. And Dignan is the only one there to get arrested by the cops outside of one of their older comrades who had gotten shot and needed medical care. So Dignan takes the fall for everybody. Cut to Bob and Anthony visiting Dignan in prison. And that's where we are at the end of our film.
So what did you think of the ending?
I think the crime montage at the end is probably the closest peek behind the curtain that we get to like quintessential Wes Anderson. The fact that everybody has these banana yellow jumpsuits, the fact that the cast is like this eclectic grouping of like these older dudes, these younger dudes. There's like a level of comedy, but then also like a seriousness when Dignan's like, no, you go ahead. Like I'm going to stay behind. Yeah, I think the dynamic angles, the energy actually made me feel like, oh, I'm watching a Wes Anderson film compared to the rest of the movie where I'm like, some of the humor's there, but like the style choices didn't 100% hit for me. I didn't think like, oh, that's Wes Anderson there.
Yeah, definitely. This stuff at the end feels the most in control of his, controlling nature. Like,
Uh-huh.
I mean, he'd already kind of done that with some of the like outfits and designs and the distinct ways these characters are from one another. But now at the end, it's like, yeah, this entire set piece is like, this is what we're going to have them do. This is what they're going to look like. This is all the hijinks that'll take place. These are the mistakes that's going to happen. And it's very silly, but it also is, then thrusting all of these characters in a heightened situation. And you finally just see them all kind of like show how dysfunctional it is when push comes to shove. Yeah, I mean, I ended the movie and I I don't say this in criticism. I was just like thinking, like, is Bottle Rocket about anything? And obviously talking about this, yes, obviously. Like, not only in my notes did I say, yeah, of course it's about something, but also in our discussion here, talking about the film, it's very clear, like, oh, yeah, these classism type things, and then the relationships that can be strained because of classism are there. Like, that's totally there. And I don't think it's because I'm stupid or something that, like, I didn't connect with the movie or understand it. I think it was just I just sort of soaked it in as, like, this is just like a fun movie to watch. But like, I don't feel that draw to rewatch it like I do with Tenenbaums, where I feel like if I watch it again, I might understand it a little more and connect with him, or Steve Zissou, where I just like love that movie and I could just watch it anytime. I don't feel like, though, like if I rewatch Bottle Rocket, I'll find like new things. Maybe I will after this, but I don't feel that with my initial watch, nor kind of leading up to this episode as I was like sitting through my notes and writing. Like, I don't think I'm going to put it on and then like it's going to click and I'll go, that's exactly what this is saying, or this is exactly what it's trying to go through. And then, yeah, if it's about anything, it's this enjoyable, cartoonish adult coming of age tale. And you can either learn to grow up or you can endure the consequences of your actions. And some characters grow up. Some characters are rich enough that they don't have to, like Bob, or which is not even good either. Or you can suffer the consequences, like Dignan, where at some point, the things that happen become his fault. Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it. If I was like spending time with friends and like they picked it to put on, like maybe I would enjoy it more that time. I'd probably find it fun. I don't know if I'll ever personally put it on again, but yeah, it was fun to watch though for this year. Like to just like, okay, we've watched a couple. Let's go back to the beginning, check it out. You said you had watched some of the like special features on the Criterion disc, as well as the short film that helped Anderson get this. What anything cool from that, or anything interesting? Comparisons, anything?
Realistically, so Anderson had been friends with the Wilson brothers for a really long time. And they had even roomed together through the majority of the making of the Bottle Rocket short, and then finally getting picked up for like an actual feature length. What was interesting was to see different clips where he's kind of playing around with the idea of who these characters are, and doing that over and over and over and over and over again over the course of, I think they said like 6 years. Like, it was a very long time from the first time messing around with the camera, let's make a short, to the feature length. So to me, I think that type of repetition and that type of like wanting to get it right is a trait that I've heard carries through the rest of Wes Anderson's filmmaking career. This idea of like, I want to get this right. I have a vision for this. I have a direction for this, and we have to get it right. So it is just really, it was interesting. It was worth like the extra 25 minutes or so to kind of go through all of that. Also, there were scenes that they cut from Bottle Rocket, like a plate spinning scene. Like Mr. Henry has this big party where someone's just doing plate spinning, and they're like, no, guys, that adds nothing. We can cut it out. It's fine. So
goofy.
Hey there, listener. Want to influence the podcast? Head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine and support the show for $3 a month. In doing so, you'll be able to vote on a movie poll that picks a film we discuss each month. So jump on over there and have your voice heard.
Well, hey, what do you recommend?
So my recommendation is what I had mentioned earlier on in this episode, I'm going to recommend Brick, directed by Rian Johnson. I do think it's a really good companion piece to Bottle Rocket. It's another movie about kids doing crime, but they talk like hard-boiled detectives in Brick. It's very creative and moody, and it's creative and moody, and it features a young Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Really stellar performance from him, especially considering the dialogue that he is forced to say during the course of that film. sounds literally just like the most stereotypical detective
silliness
type of dialogue that you can imagine.
I'm going to recommend a video game. I'm going to recommend a game that I played over 10 years ago, probably over almost not 20, it's not that old. Over 15 years ago, probably. Amnesia: The Dark Descent. The classic spooky horror game. Like a first-person point-and-click puzzle adventure game, except you can walk around, you can interact with stuff, you can pick things up, there's some physics gameplay to it. It popularized the you can't fight the monster, you just gotta hide from it type gameplay mechanic. I know that it had existed before, but this is like, that's the game. You have to hide from it, but then also your character is afraid of the dark, so if you're in the dark too long, you can go crazy, and like there's a lot of like mechanics to that. There's a really big mod map library, so like once you've played the game and you've enjoyed like what it has to offer, you can download a lot of modded maps to play custom campaigns, stuff like that. And then it's just, modern horror gaming temple. Like this is like so many games have followed in the footsteps of Amnesia: The Dark Descent and the stuff that Frictional Games has produced over the years. So if you want to play a good, very freaky, layered and fun game, puzzle game and horror game, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. Check it out.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Cinematic Doctrine. If you enjoyed the episode, give us 5 stars on whatever podcast app you're using. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe, too. We put out stuff like all the time. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. It helps the algorithm share our stuff around, and I see them, so I usually reply. Also, if you support on Patreon, you could have totally heard this episode early. There's a bunch of other benefits to supporting on Patreon, so head on over to patreon.com/cinematic doctrine to learn more. Speaking of Patreon, thank you so much to our Art House Theater tier Patreon supporters. Thanks, Thomas, Shirley-Ann, Mom, and Dad. Your support is greatly appreciated. Until next time, stay cool.